Poundland's finest Pan Aroma plug-in air freshener. Well, I say air freshener, I mean anything that puts chemicals into the air isn't really freshening the air. But anyway, I've got a problem with this. You see, it doesn't light up. I know, that's slightly petty, but these things are easily resolved. I don't think for one moment that Pan Aroma ever thought that anybody would want it to light up, but hey, let's see what it smells like. This is the vanilla and sandalwood, is it? It smells very faint. Oh well. They do a range of aromas. I've got some other bottles here. They've got, this one is the linen aroma, which is really just washing powder aroma, and that smells absolutely disgusting. They've got lavender, which smells like old ladies' knickers. Not that I sniff old ladies' knickers much. And then out the blue, they've got another one called Very Berry. And unbelievably, this one actually smells really fruity and is really strong. So I have to say this is my favourite. But either way, right now I've got this one. And I want to see if I can make it light up. So I'm going to open it. Now, it's worth noting that these cheap ones do have screws in the bottom to open them. Now, if you go for something like a airwick unit, you'll find all the expensive, high-profile ones are heat riveted together, so you can't actually open them. Well, I say you can't actually open them to modify them, but I have opened one and modified it, but that's just a lot more effort. So let's take a look inside this, and we'll explore the science of cheap plug-in air fresheners. So 2 screws, there's one. And there's 2, and it comes apart to reveal the outer casing, and inside is just an ordinary, what I'd call a 3-watt resistor. Now, it's actually embossed with its rating on top. It says 2.2 watt, 24K, 24,000 ohms. So let's take a look at this resistor. Oh, I'll show you how it works. I mean, it's not really rocket science. When you put the aroma refill in, oh blimey, I'm making a mess of this. When you put the aroma chemical refill thing in, and it clips into place, the wick at the top of the bottle is held just a wee bit away from the resistor, so the heat from the resistor it evaporates the aroma off the wick, and of course it's a wick so that more liquid goes up and it just gently dissipates it into the air. And there's also these holes round it that are almost completely blocked by the actual refill bottle itself, but they allow some airflow through. So there's a continual flow of air through the unit, and that puts the aroma into the air. So let's take a look at the dissipation and how we can modify this to add LEDs. Note the resistor just sits into the plastic, it doesn't get super hot. So let's see. We've got, the circuit diagram is very simple. We've got live, we've got neutral, and we've got a resistor that gets hot. And that's really about it. Now the resistor is 24K, 24,000 ohms. Oh, this pen's running a bit dry. And let's see, where's the calculator? So our voltage is 240 volts here, divided by 24,000 ohms equals, so that's 240 volts divided by 24,000 ohms equals 10 milliamps. 10 milliamps times 240 volts equals 2.4 watts. So it's 10 milliamps and it's going to dissipate 2.4 watts of power. Now the 10 milliamps is the bit we're interested in. You see, I'd like to actually use that resistor and stick some LEDs in line with it. So I've got a choice here. If I want to use a single LED, I could go from live through the resistor, angular resistor, and I would have to use something like a bridge rectifier to neutral with the LED across it. So say I'd have the positives going to that side and the negatives going to that side, and then the LED in the middle like that, and that means that on both halves of the sine wave the current would flow through the LED. You could theoretically just have an LED and a reverse diode across it, but that would be very flickery. So my approach is to actually, and the simplest approach in my view, is to have the resistor and then two inverse parallel LEDs, so each LED lights up on its half of the waveform. So first that one will put light out, then that one will put light out, and they'll jiggle backwards and forwards. But because it's so fast, you don't actually see it. However, if you use two different colours of LEDs, like red and blue, you get this weird psychedelic effect that it looks sort of purple if you look at it, but if you move your eyes about, it's actually pulsing between red and blue. It's quite a good effect, I have to say, but it's a wee bit too ferocious for an air freshener. So I'm going to go for this approach, and I'm going to put two LEDs in series with the existing resistor. So let's get back to this. How much room do I have in here? It's a bit of a compromise because I have to be able to fit the LEDs in with their wiring in the back here, but not actually protrude too much into here in case it actually fills where the bottle goes. So I can see from here that if I draw a line with this, not really getting in too deep there, but let's take a look and see where I can go. Right, okay, I reckon I can put an LED about here and an LED about here. So I'm going to mark that by just putting a slight indent with the soldering iron, just to help line the drill up. And then I'm going to get a drill and try not to drill a hole through my lovely new workbench. I might end up doing that. Oh, blimey, that's all over the place. So that's one hole done. I'm going to make a hole in my workbench at some point, so it might as well be sooner rather than later. Oh, being a bit overcautious here with the drill in case I do start drilling things. I'm more worried about drilling fingers. Oh, this plastic is tough. There we go. So that's the two holes. Let's put the LEDs in. So I've got two warm white LEDs here. So I'm going to put one with the positive pointing up the way and just jam it in, and one with the positive pointing down the way and jam it in. And then I'm going to fold the leads over towards each other and crop them just over halfway across on either side so that they overlap. So let's crop this one about here and fold this one across and crop it about here. Now I'm just going to try that for room in the back here. Yep, that looks pretty good. And I'm also going to try it with the bottle up the front. Is it going to foul anything? Nope, that looks alright actually. I think the bottle, I think it's going to put a wee bit of pressure in the LEDs when it goes in, but it's going to ride past them okay. If in doubt, if it didn't fit, I'd probably just crop a wee bit off the front of the LEDs, but I think that's going to be alright like that. So let's clear some of this mess out of the way. And now I'm going to crop one of these leads off, any lead. Now I noticed for a start these are loose, these are actually crimped in, but it rotates quite loosely, so I'm actually going to put a wee bit of solder in these without melting the plastic. So I shall resolder this. If you notice the camera judder there, it's just because I stuck the head on it. So I'm just going to flow some solder onto that, try not to melt the whole assembly. And likewise, I'm going to be putting a wire on here, so I'll just flow some solder onto this too. There we go. I think they're probably brass, I'm not 100% sure. Now this lead is, I could crop it a wee bit. It's going to sit in like this. And I want this lead to come down, and I want to actually just tap it onto the top of the LED, probably at this side. So I'll dress it in a bit like that, and I shall crop it about that length. And I'll pull the sleeving off it, and then cut a bit more of the sleeving off, and push the sleeving back on, and that will leave me some bare wire to do that with. So I'm going to solder those LEDs together now, because I've not actually joined them together yet. So that's one done, and that's another done. I'm going to tin this wire. Now this wire will get hot to a degree, but not that hot. I'm going to shape it slightly, and then just tack it probably near the LED but not directly on the LED. I have to avoid this bit here, because this bit will be flush against the back of the case. So I'm just going to tin that. Now, did I tin that wire or not? I think I tinned the wire. And then I'll flow it. So that's one connection done. Okay, that's the connection to the top of the two LEDs. So I'll just dress that wire in, get it neat. Now the other connection will be going from the bottom LEDs to the other terminal of that. So I'll just use a bit of wire for this, and I'll keep it relatively generous, because any slack can be tucked away. And I'm going to tin that. Sorry about all the smoke. This little thing here is a brass tip cleaner. It looks as though it's a repurposed heavy cigarette ashtray, but it probably is. But it's got a sort of brass scourer in it, and you can just wipe your tip in it, and it cleans it very well. It's a very good tool. I'm just going to re-tin my bit before I put it. Apparently you're supposed to tin bits before you put them in the soldering stand, because it prevents the surface of the soldering iron getting oxidised. I used to always clean it before putting it in the soldering iron stand, so maybe I was doing that wrong. Anyway, I'm going to solder this wire now onto the bottom of the LEDs. And then I'm going to solder onto this pre-tinned connection over here. Looks pretty good. And that should theoretically be it. So I just have to lose this wire in here, twist it round, and sit this down. It's got a sort of alignment peg in the bottom, there it goes. And check that wires are all sort of dressed in neatly, and that resistor's sitting down properly. That looks pretty good. So let's see if it all goes back together now. Looks good. So I'll pop these screws back in. And we'll plug it in, and it'll be interesting to see if this actually shimmers on the camera a bit. I'll just unplug the solder and put it out of the way. So that's it lighting up. Yes, you can see a slight shimmer inside because the LEDs are alternating. And when I put let's put the red one in because it's quite colourful. Let's see if it fits up alright without being filled by the LEDs. Yes, it does. And you can see, I'll turn the lights off here just so you can see this. You can see it makes the whole thing glow quite brightly. I mean, it really does look quite bright at night. And it's not taking any more power for that. All it is putting the 3-volt drop of the LEDs in series of that resistor. So, yeah, good result, I have to say. Well, good result if you don't mind chemicals being injected into the air. But there you go, how to modify a cheap air freshener to light up.